What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Aftersound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here in this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, spicy video today. A little bit of a trigger warning just in case some of you guys get a little sensitive towards it. But I have been hinting about this in several of the other videos and in live streams. But let's actually jump into it. And that is the value of cards, and if they really are designed, at least the way that, you know, the current iteration of the game is, if they're designed to maintain or grow in value. Now, I'm going to show you this chart here for Rebellion, right? Let me go ahead and switch over to the tab. And you can see this thing has definitely started to take a tumble. I mean, this is significant. This is over the last 6 months, right? So even just here, since we'll say, like, I don't know, when the real like decline started in April, right? So for the past month and a half or so, we've seen things steadily go down. But again, 6 months is how long the set has been out, right? This goes back to December 11th, and you can see from starting off around the $8,000 range, we're already down over 25%, maybe 35%, right down into the 5,400 range for these cards. Now, granted, there's not a lot of cards out there. The floor prices could rise dramatically if somebody came in and wanted to buy up a bunch of BCX for any individual card. But on the whole, right, the total set value is going down. And this is kind of in line with the thesis that I've had in terms of just waiting it out for Rebellion, right? Like, I do want to have some of these cards that are fantastic and I get beaten by somewhat regularly. But on the whole, like, I've been able to survive without them for the most part. Maybe that changes if a lot of bots go offline and, you know, Wild becomes much more competitive, similar to Modern. Who knows, right? Maybe that will be something that spurs me to get these cards and spurs other people to get the cards to stay competitive. But ultimately, taking this back to what I was wanting to talk about in this video is, I don't think that this is, you know, unique to Rebellion or unique to Chaos Legion or unique to anything. I mean, look at any and all other sets, right? If we go over to even Alpha, Beta, Untamed, most of those sets ended up trending towards, you know, something lower. Now, here's the thing, and I talked about this on the live stream, so if you caught this earlier, then, you know, you probably have a little bit of a preview. I'm saying this as a generality, right? When you think about something that first comes out, it's scarce in quantity, and the demand is at its absolute highest, right? And maybe not absolute highest, but it's definitely at a very high point because a lot of people want the cards right away. Whenever something is new, people want it, and therefore they're going to buy it, and they're going to pay a premium for that. Versus once it's out there already, people know what it does, combos have been figured out, and you know, and balances have been figured out, right? Counters have been figured out. A lot of that stuff tends to start going down in value, right? Now, here's the thing. Over the long run, you're going to have blips like 2021. And I'm saying, my disclaimer is that I'm excluding that because those are bubbles, right? Those are unsustainable bubbles where things just go up and up and up, and it's not going to stay like that. My hope, and I think most of our hope here, is that we will get another bubble like that at some point during the next bull run. But on the whole, the sets, as they go further and further down the line, right, and they become less and less relevant, either through power creep or through just, you know, being pushed out of Modern or being put onto land, right? Like, I mean, there's only so much that these cards can do on land, right? That it's like, at the end of the day, of course, their value is going to come down. Now, that being said, there probably always will be certain meta cards, right, that will come in handy and that people will hold, and you know, due to the scarcity, will actually retain, maybe even go up in value over time, right? I'm thinking like a Kitty or a Jotun or maybe some of the beta legendary summoners, right? So some of these cards that are just absolutely fantastic, even if they're from older sets, you still tend to see them around. But that's not for every card in the set. That's going to be for your premier chase cards, and those alone will not be able to hold up the set value. right? No matter how popular they are, they will not be able to hold up the set value because you're always going to get the hardy stonefishes of the set, or even go back to, Untamed. I mean, whatever common cards that are trading for pennies now, when they weren't during the bubble, right? But they're trading for pennies now. And my guess is, Rebellion has come down significantly. At some point, I'm not saying that it's going to trade for pennies. In fact, I think it's in a much better place than Chaos Legion due to the due to the pack tokenomics design by the team. I think Matt and the team were much more thoughtful about how they release Rebellion. So Rebellion will actually be much more scarce, which could pump the value in a bubble. But all in all, as we go on further down the line, there's just going to be newer cards. There's just going to be newer rule sets, newer things, newer balances, power creep, all that stuff that even Rebellion is going to lose its value, right? And I'm saying all this, and I genuinely don't think that it's a bad thing, right? I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh yeah, I want card values to go down, or I'm okay with it. I actually think that we've been, maybe perpetuating a fantasy here. I'm guilty of this as well, where it's just like, yeah, if something is highly desired and it's scarce, it's going to go up forever, right? Like that's the idea here. But part of this comes from, my leanings towards the investment side when I talk about cards as an asset class not being something that I like personally to invest in. Again, none of this financial advice, but it's just there's too many meta changes, and there's always going to be another card, right? You may not have a Dr. Blight, but you'll be able to get something else, or you'll just get by without it, right? Or you may not have a Mantaroth, or whatever the case is. You will always be able to get by, and people just will not need it, or they'll wait for the new thing, right? And go and get that. So in that same way, right, not looking at this from a investment standpoint, but looking at it from like a gameplay and like how you spend money on a game and collectible items, maybe a hobby is a better way to phrase it. Over time, unless the cards are absolutely meta or they're super awesome and there's just not that many of them out in the mix, they're going to go down in value in the long run. Again, there will be blips in time when you get some irrational bull run that comes in, and maybe it pumps your card. Maybe it pumps, certain cards. Maybe it doesn't, right? And to me, that's where there's too much speculation and somewhat gambling, right? Because it's like, oh, well, if we think there's going to be a pump, then I'm going to grab all these cards, right? And all of a sudden when it comes in, it's just like, oh, you know what? That card actually at that time when hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of players were coming in, the meta was not that card that you loaded up on. And so therefore it didn't pump like everything else. And so all of a sudden, like, you lose out. So in that way, I'm saying this all as I don't think it's a bad thing, right? And for someone like me who considers themselves, you guys might laugh at this, but I consider myself a casual Splinterlands player, right? I'm not a top tier player. I don't have all the strategies and stuff like that. I am much more focused on the game economy rather than the game, although I do love the game. As a casual player, I don't mind waiting it out, letting people chase all the shiny stuff, and then just getting it for bottom dollar when it seems like it's a good deal and something that I can add in and my entertainment budget allows for it, right? It does need to be something more than that. I don't want to be chasing stuff when everybody else is chasing. And that's not even like an investment thing of like, oh, zig when others zag. No, it's just like, yeah, when stuff is like hot, like, and everybody wants one and it's in demand, like I've never been one of those people that like lines up outside the store at 3 a.m. like waiting for it to open. It's just like, nah, you know what? I'll get it when I get it, right? And maybe if there's something in my life that I wanted to wait out in line for, that I absolutely would. But Splinterlands cards, I mean, actually, not just any TCG, right? Any game, I'm not going to be like waiting in line for whatever. It's going to be like, yeah, I'll get it when it feels right to get it, or I'll get it when I can like earn it through my gameplay and convert a lot of my earnings back into it, which I do, right? I've been renting out SPS, I've been renting out cards, I've been taking some of the SPS or vouchers and ice cream money, turning that into more cards over time. Again, my deck isn't even maxed, but I do like buying cards here and there just to slowly get whatever I need. And I do genuinely think, as long as nothing dramatic happens or changes, that once I feel satisfied with Chaos Legion and once Rebellion prices come down to a point where I'm like, yeah, you know what? That seems like a good deal. Then I'll go for it. And again, my mindset is probably different from a lot of the other player investors or whatever you want to categorize yourself as, simply because like I want to say this again, and this is not me. I'm not trying to take some kind of like moral high ground or superiority or flex. Like it literally is just the value of my deck is not something that I look at like ever, unless you guys tell me to look at it. I just don't care, right? Because and again, that's not me trying to say that I'm better. And it's just, I don't care. It's like when I buy something, I have no intention of selling it. So therefore I don't follow and track what the value of it is going to be over time. I just buy it because I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to play with that at that level. Now, again, that being said, if we get into a bubble and all of a sudden my collection goes to 6 figures, yeah, you can bet that I'm probably going to sell some cards, right? But for the most part, on a day-to-day basis, on a month-to-month basis, really, I'm not checking the value of my collection, which means that when, the perfect storm arises and the stars align and I have the capital and the card price is down and the availability is there and I grab it, that's the last time I think about the price of that card. Yeah, maybe I'll look at it in the future when we go through the market and laugh and be like, should have waited, right? But for the most part, I don't really think through that. So I'm not saying that my mindset is the right one by any means. You can approach this game however you like. I'm just saying that is how I view this. And so far, it doesn't feel like it's been invalidated, right? If you want to be somebody who just off the gun is going to have all the best stuff, right? You want to be first in line. I think you're going to pay a premium. Is that a bad thing? No, I don't think so. But when you pay a premium, that means that you are paying more than what its actual value is. And so therefore, if you're paying a premium, you can bet that it's probably going to go down in value. But the benefit that you get of paying that premium is you had it before everybody else, right? So that to me is just kind of how I view cards in Splinterlands from like a hobby gaming perspective, maybe from an investment perspective. But again, none of this is financial advice. It just, to me, I'm not surprised to see this happening with Rebellion. I'll be honest, it's a little disappointing that we've seen such a decline when there's not even been 1 million packs sold. But granted, we're seeing, the true numbers of the player base really start to come in now with the bot farms being reduced. We only have like 10,000 active accounts per day, and that's probably going to come down even further, right? So we're getting into a place where I think, once we can sweep Chaos Legion under the rug and never think about it again, which I know is going to inflame some people, but metaphorically speaking, right? Once Chaos Legion is just like, once everybody comes to terms with it, I think the game will be in a much better position, right? And again, that's not me hoping that Chaos Legion is never, revived in some way. I've said before, I think it's going to be the land set. So all of you guys who want Chaos Legion to have some kind of value better be pushing for land. But, aside from that, it is what it is. I don't think that I'm not saying any of this in a negative way. This is just how I kind of view things. It's my own opinion. Feel free to have your opinion or to disagree with my opinion. But I do plan on buying Rebellion cards when they get to a better price, which I think they will get to. And I don't think that that's a terrible thing, right? Like, even if it means I end up buying them later on when the next core set comes out, for example, right? Or I've stated when I'm planning to buy them. I'm waiting for conflicts to be over, which would be an ideal opportunity for the team to introduce like some secondary conflicts to keep all those packs on wagons. But that's just my thought. All right, so that's all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll catch you all in the next one and see you around the game. Take care.